just remember looking at everybody walking past with Christmas bags in their hands and presents, and just the row of people sitting on the floor that nobody stopped to speak to. And I remember standing there like, I cannot let this go on any longer. I just couldn't go home that day without doing something.
Hello everyone, this is Cynthia and I want to welcome you to episode 89, our last episode of the year. On behalf of the Assyrian podcast team, thank you. We can't thank you enough for your support throughout the year and for tuning in, week out. Thank you also so much to all of our guests. Without our guests, we would not have amazing stories to share with you all. To wrap up the Assyrian podcast for 2019, it seems entirely appropriate to acknowledge that we are heading into the season of Christmas, a time of giving and family. Our guest this week couldn't be more perfect in terms of encapsulating these values. Roseanne Rofaeel founded Christmas on the Streets in Melbourne in 2016. Christmas on the Streets, or COTS as it's more commonly known, is a not-for-profit organisation aiding those who are homeless or on the verge of homelessness or experiencing poverty. At the age of just 23, Roseanne has taken COTS to new heights. I really hope you enjoy Roseanne's story as much as I enjoyed speaking to her. Support for this week's episode of the Assyrian podcast is brought to you by Tony Kalogerakos and the injury lawyers of Illinois and New York. If you know someone that has been in a serious accident, please reach out to Tony Kalogerakos. Tony has been recognized as a top 40 lawyer and a rising star by Super Lawyers publication and has obtained multiple multi-million-dollar awards. Tony can be reached at injuryrights.com or 847-982-9516. I hope you enjoy the episode and have a very Merry Christmas. Roseanne, thank you for coming along and joining me on the Assyrian podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So Roseanne, I want to know a bit about your family. So I know that they've come from overseas, the refugees to Australia. Can you tell me a bit more about them and your life growing up here in Melbourne?
Yeah, so mum and dad are both originally from Iraq, the northern villages, the good old northern villages up in Iraq. Dad migrated to Australia in 1992 and he went over in 94, married mum. Mum got here at the end of 94. So they had another wedding here in 95 and then I was born in 1996. So mum and dad are from Iraq. I was born and raised in Melbourne. Have lived in Melbourne my whole life, but I never really thought that that played a big part in who I was, like mum and dad's background. I was like, well, that's just my culture, my background, and I'm an Australian, Iraqi, Chaldean, Assyrian, whatever you want to call it. Like now, the older I'm getting, the more I look back on it, I realize that that was the roots of everything that I am today. Like mum and dad's background played a vital role in how it shaped me to be as an adult. Growing up sheltered and naive, I thought the whole world was like mum and dad. And the more I stepped out into the real world, I saw that no, it's so different. Like this is our community. We're a little bit unique, and just really embraced it. Like I continue to embrace it the longer I get. I know a lot about mum and dad's struggles that I'll never experience in my life. Dad was a prisoner of war. Mum lost her mum at a very young age, 12 years old. Dad lost his dad at 18, so they really took on these parental roles at a very young age, almost didn't have the teenage or adult life that I was privileged to have. Took care of their siblings, fled war-torn countries, just things that I'll never experience. I think that's definitely given me a sense of gratitude, or that I'm very blessed to have, because it's from a real life experience.
And you said you started to realise all that your parents had sacrificed. Do you know when this was? When did this come about? Or was it just a gradual?
When I understood what it actually meant to like flee a war-torn country, you know, you hear that when you're younger. You know, we ran away from war, and it's like, okay, whatever, like you ran away from war. But the older you get, you're like, oh my goodness, like you were living under persecution, you were living in fear your whole life. And I think the more I enjoyed myself as an 18-year-old, as a 21-year-old, you're like, oh my goodness, mum and dad never got to have this life. It was stripped away from them. And I think that just gave me a sense of gratitude. Mum and dad really instilled in me and my siblings, don't take anything for granted. Whether it was school, like I remember being young, you know, like complaining about doing homework, and mum and dad giving the usual lecture of, you're so lucky you get to go to school, you can become anything you want in the world. And they just used to empower us so much. And now I know where that was coming from. Like, it's not because they just wanted me to do well in school, it's because we never had this opportunity. Don't take it for granted.
While you were in high school, you recall feeling like you should live life as a missionary, which is really interesting for someone who's in high school. What were the earliest signs that you were inclined this way? And do you have any stories of a young Roseanne wanting to be charitable?
I, again, thought it was just supernatural to want to be around people. Maybe it's the Assyrian Chaldean in us, but love being hospitable, being in our communities, and it's just the way we've grown up being in this tribal environment almost. But in high school, I loved Mother Teresa growing up. She was like my superwoman. I just wanted to be exactly like her. I thought she was so cool.
Not Britney Spears, but...
No, it was Mother Teresa for me.
Fantastic, yeah.
I just thought I just remember seeing photos of her growing up and I was like, who is this woman? She's so small, but she's so mighty. But I didn't think anything of it. I didn't want to be a nun. But I just thought, wow, I love her. But just doing ordinary things before even focusing on Mother Teresa. I was always class captain. I was school captain in primary school and high school. I was just naturally the leader in my group. They used to call me Mama Rose. I'd always have the Band-Aid in my bag if somebody needed it, or the spare pencil, just things like that. Looking back now, I'm like, that's probably where it all started. But in high school, I was like, I really love this whole idea of missionary. I didn't even know it was a thing. People could go and just help people that were impoverished. And I think a part of it wasn't because I was so inspired to become a missionary. It was just because I thought that I couldn't do it here. I said it before, I grew up so naive and sheltered. I was like, oh, well, there aren't really poor people here. If I want to help people, I've got to go to Iraq or Africa or whatever. And so instantly I was like, oh, missionary. That's just sort of how it came to be. But she was like my superhero. I just, loved helping people. Whether that came from us being Christians and being inclined to help, I'm not too sure, but it was just
something innate by the sounds of things as well. Just to follow on from that, a missionary life isn't glamorous by any means. No bells and whistles and glitter. What about the type of life attracted you to it?
I think I've always loved rooting for the underdogs. I've loved just seeing people deny the odds. It could be from mum and dad, refugees don't amount to anything, and just seeing the way they've transform their lives. I love people that don't think they can do it, or the world tells them they're not worth it, or they don't, that they won't get anywhere, to defy those odds. I've always rooted for the underdogs, and so that's drawn me to it. I want to be a part of those stories. I want to be around those people, and if I can empower them, so be it. I want them to know people believe in them. That's really drawn me to that life, and I just love being with the people that society doesn't like. I don't know why, I don't know where that came from, but the more I do it, the more I realize that's my place. I think everybody has a vocation, everybody has a place, everybody has a community they're drawn to or inclined to serve in some way. And it doesn't need to look like a missionary life at all. People can do that in so many different ways, but I've just found my place to be that place. I love the margins.
And in terms of, you were saying you love to be with the people that people don't like.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the right terminology.
No, I get where you're coming from with that, but how, in terms of feedback that you might get from other people, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, there's the good, obviously, people that are like, oh, the work you do is amazing. And then whether it's from, my parents at the start were like, obviously every parent's going to be worried about their daughter that goes out onto the streets to help the homeless. That's so natural. And for them, it was more of a worry thing, not like, oh, don't do this. It was like, oh, be careful, we care for you. You're so young. Of course. And especially an Assyrian parent. But for them, it was when they saw it, mum and dad would come out on street runs with us. They would come and speak to the homeless with me. They would be there at my events and stuff like that. And they were just like, this is your place. You fit in so naturally. The people respect you. And we can see the change in these people. And they came and they loved it. And they're like, we get it. We get now. You're not a crazy little kid that just wants to go on the streets with the homeless. You've got a mission here, and you're doing that. And it just shifted from we worry for you to how can we support you. And there are other people like, oh, these people don't deserve it, they did it to themselves. People that aren't emotionally attached to me, that don't really have that worry aspect, but more that what are you doing, you're wasting your time aspect. Again, for them, it's if they see it for themselves, that stigma breaks straight away. And I've just come to accept that not everybody's going to ever understand what I do. And I just I looked at my vision, I looked at my goal, and I'm like, none of them is please others, none of them is be accepted or understood by others. My mission is so much bigger and so much more different to that. Why? And because my mission is so big and complex, why waste time worrying about?
Can I just say that's just such a valuable, regardless of what you're doing, so long as you're doing something that lights your fire.
That's it.
That's the best message.
That's it. Find your purpose and your goal and whatever, and go for it. Because if we forever wait around for the perfect time or everybody's approval, none of us are going to get anywhere. That becomes your goal, pleasing others, and that's just a goal that's never going to be fulfilled, really. Exactly right. And as if you'd want to be old and be like, oh, I spent my whole life trying to please others and I did nothing for the world or for myself. No way. I couldn't do that. Just sticking really straight on to that goal and mission.
Well, we're glad you can't sit back and not do anything in people please, because if you did, you wouldn't have found Christmas on the Streets, which is also known as COTS, a not-for-profit organisation that is aiding those who are homeless, on the verge of homelessness, or experiencing poverty. Can you tell me how COTS came about?
So I never in my life wanted to start a charity. I might have wanted to do mission and stuff, but I never wanted to start a charity. Didn't think I'd be the founder of a charity, not even homelessness. I didn't think that was going to be the area that would be my life, that would turn into my life. But yeah, so the missionary thing in high school, this is how it all started. I told Mum, I was like, I'm going to go to India or Africa or somewhere. I need to do something after year 12. And she's like, just finish school first and then worry about it. There's no way, whatever. And I understand, I was like 15 at the time or something, 16. So then for my 17th birthday, I remember I was just like, God, I know you've planted this seed in my heart and I want to do it and I know I'm going to do it. But when's the right time? And I'm just so impatient. Like maybe I was a kid, but I was like, I want to do something right now. I can't sit around and wait anymore. It's like exactly what you said before about the fire in your heart. It wasn't just this, like a goal I had. It was burning in me. Yeah, it was full blown. And I remember I saw on Twitter, I think it was, I can't even remember what I was doing when I was 16, a charity called My Charity Water. And pretty much people would donate milestones in their life, and instead of celebrating them with a party, they'd set up an online campaign and people could donate money on that, and that's what you would celebrate. And they would build water wells in third world countries for communities that had children dying before the age of 5 because they didn't have access to clean water. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, the water in my toilets is clean. I'm going to build water wells for children. And I was like, this is going to be the perfect excuse for me to go after year 12. So donated my 17th birthday, told everybody I'm not having a birthday party. Everybody use the money.
Look, there's not many 17-year-olds that do that. So,
but I was like, I'm not going to wait around. So it just fell at my lap. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. It was easy, convenient. All the money that people were going to use for presents or a party, I got them to donate to this campaign. So 17th birthday, we built a water well in Cambodia. My 18th, we built one in Ethiopia, and my 19th, we built one in Mozambique. So this is all before Christmas on the streets. And I was like, amazing, I'm going to go visit these water wells. Maybe I'll find my missionary life there. That didn't happen. And by the time I was waiting for that last water well to be built in Mozambique, I had started uni. So after year 12, I started uni, and I was spending more time in the city. I wasn't in Craigieburn anymore. I wasn't in our privileged sort of sheltered life in the area. But I started going to the city, and it was the first time my eyes were open to homelessness.
So it's more just for people like around the world. It's like a downtown, the downtown area.
The downtown.
As opposed to the suburbs.
Exactly. Our downtown city area. And I would just see people everywhere sitting with cardboard signs, and I was like, what on earth is this? And I just remember thinking, who's helping them? Or I just remember, how are people walking past them? But at the same time, it was shadowed by, what on earth is somebody like me going to do? Like, I'm a 19-year-old girl. What am I going to do? And if nobody in the 2,000 years before me has fixed it, how on earth am I going to fix it? And so I had no experience with doing anything for the homeless. And I had one social justice outreach excursion in school 3 years before this. And it was just plating up meals. I had no other experience on the streets. And so I used to get together with a group of friends, and we'd go to like a shopping centre. We'd just go to Woolies, I don't know, for Americans, Walmart or something similar to that. And we'd make snack bags. We'd put a sandwich, a juice box, a muesli bar, and we'd walk the streets, and we use these snack bags as icebreakers. So we'd go around just to break conversation. And we'd say, we were just eating. We've got a spare snack bag. You had a meal today, sir. Oh, hi, ma'am. Have you eaten today? It's really hot. Do you want a water bottle? And what we found about 8 months, a year of doing this, they didn't really care about the snacks. They would get so excited when they saw us because they were like, these are the guys that are going to stop and speak to us. And the conversations were what they longed for. And so that grew, and I was like, oh my goodness, we were noticing ourselves going out of our way to find this guy. Like, oh, is Troy in his spot? Is Tom in his spot? They would call us out by our names, like, Rose, it's good to see you, or Rose, how's uni going, or what? And these relationships were being formed. And then they were no longer the homeless. They were just Tom. And so Christmas time, this is how COTS was born. December 2016, I was standing at Burke Street outside the Maya and David Jones Christmas window. I just remember looking at everybody walking past with Christmas bags in their hands and presents, and just the row of people sitting on the floor that nobody stopped to speak to. And I remember standing there like, I cannot let this go on any longer. I just couldn't go home that day without doing something. And so impulsive, impatient Roseanne went to the first person I saw that day, and I said to him, sir, if I could get you any Christmas present this year, what would it be? And as soon as I said it, I thought, you're going to be like the Grinch who stole Christmas. He's going to ask for something. What on earth are you going to do about it? Go get it? To my surprise, he said, look at my shoes. They have holes in them. My dream Christmas present would be shoes. And I just wrote it down on the iPhone, like my iPhone notes, and I asked for his size, asked where he would be in the next couple of weeks, and I went to the next person and the next person. I spent the whole afternoon getting dream Christmas presents. I just said the same question to everybody. Some said, oh, I can't think of anything. I've never opened a Christmas present, or it brings back traumatic memories. Some people said, a music player. I haven't listened to my own music in so long. A lot of like shoes, clothes. This one man said to me, I'll never forget it. He looked at me and he said, my dream Christmas present would be a bouquet of flowers for my missus, because I've never been able to get her a fresh bouquet of flowers. And so I wrote them all down, and I went home, and I was like, this was a couple of weeks after my 20th birthday, 2 weeks after my 20th birthday. And I said, what am I going to do with these presents? So I created a Facebook event, and I called it Christmas on the Streets. I posted the presents, and I invited as many people as I could. And I said, can anybody help me get these presents? Let's go out the weekend before Christmas and give them to the homeless. That's all I did. And I thought, I'm going to get my cousins, I'm going to get some friends, my siblings, and we'll go do it. We had almost 100 people show up to the city that day.
Wow.
I had a friend of mine open his jiu-jitsu gym. Venus from the Australian elite team, he opened the gym for us, and we used it to pack the presents the night before. And on the 18th of December 2016, we went to the city with trolleys full of presents, and we spent the whole afternoon handing out Christmas presents. And I thought, this is amazing. Two things are going to happen. Either God's going to send me to India now, I've done my mission in Melbourne, or I might do this every Christmas. I said it was really successful, I'll do it every Christmas. And January, February came about, and people were messaging me, I've just cleaned out my closet, will you take my clothes? What's your charity called? Can I come out with you again? Or I went to the city and I saw this guy, he really wants us to go visit him again. And I was like, what on earth's going on? Didn't think anything of it until somebody said to me, Rose, maybe this is what you're called to do. You've wanted to do something for so long, take this and run with it. And so I did. I kept the name Christmas on the Streets. I couldn't think of any other name. It abbreviated nicely into COTS. I hope we spread the joy of Christmas every day of the year that we run now. And the rest is history. We run 2 annual programs. We have outreach every weekend called Street Runs, an indoor winter event in July. Our Christmas event, we do the Christmas presents every year. I do school talks about 4 to 5 times a month.
Amazing.
Speak at organisations. I'm just about to launch our team in Sydney and Brisbane.
Wow.
Going over to Perth to do a talk. We've had volunteers fly down to be a part of it. People from New York have shown interest. It's incredible. The way the movement's been blessed is all from, a one-time trip in Bourke Street.
And asking one person a question.
That's all. And that's how COTS was born, and that's my life now. Yeah, so.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you were talking a bit about the outreach programs that happen every week.
Yeah, now it's every week.
What happens with that?
So we started doing it about once a month.
Yep.
And we called them Street Runs, and pretty much we get a group of volunteers together. We have everything we're going to distribute that day set up, whether that's sleeping bags, clothes, snack bags, sanitary items. What other essentials do we give out? New shoes, blankets, whatever it might be. And then we alter it during the seasons. Like in winter, we give out thermal sleeping bags. In summer, we make sure we go out with, hats and t-shirts.
Yep.
And we pretty much walk the streets, the whole group of volunteers, we walk the streets and we sit down and we have conversation with people, and anything they need, we provide their instant care and relief that we can provide. Yeah, it was once a month, and it was every fortnight. And since June this year, we've had enough support to run it weekly, multiple times a week now.
So I'm talking to big organisations about getting those products donated for.
Yeah. We've had a few people we partner with a lot of charities that get either, an abundance of sleeping bags shipped to them. We help them spread them out during the year. We have companies give us food vouchers, and bakeries, give us bread or food and things like that. So we've got companies like AS Colour giving us t-shirts and clothes to give out all year round. So that, and then the manpower of volunteers wanting to come out and distribute them and spend time with the homeless has just sustained us. We've never received a grant. We don't get any big support. We're still growing in that way. Yeah, the goodness of humanity has just brought us to where we are.
And just in terms of establishing COTS, this has been while you've been at university as well.
Yeah, so I study full-time. I'm a full-time psychology student. I work part-time at the local pharmacy and part-time as a prison chaplain, and I run COTS every other second in between that. Completely pro bono. It's a completely volunteer-run charity. Yes, I have 2 part-time jobs, study full-time at uni. I run a youth group on Saturdays for our church, and I do COTS every other second in between that, and I would not take it back for a second.
What have been some of the biggest challenges in starting a charity organisation?
Lots of unique challenges. It's just been the biggest learning experience. There's been a lot of challenges, but they've all sort of been hurdles, just presented themselves to me because I didn't know anything about it. I don't have a business background. I didn't know you had to register a charity as a business. Had to lean on a lot of people that were older and wiser than me and experienced. Yeah, learning the industry, learning the ropes of what it means to run a charity.
Yep.
Showing up as the youngest person in the room, like, has always been a challenge. I have done so many talks at like big organizations, and when I go there, it's not uncommon for me to hear, oh, has the CEO sent one of his volunteers to come down? Or like, whatever, things like that. And, you know, you're turning around and saying, I am the founder, I am the CEO, is always fun. Like, you always get to see the reaction on their face. So just stepping up and staying present as the youngest person in the room. There aren't many, you know, 23-year-old CEOs and founders in this charity sector, at least. Yeah, things like that. Overcoming people, what you were saying earlier about not understanding what you do. Like, oh, there was a lot of people at the start with the whole, oh, she's doing this for attention, or people only do this because they want recognition, and if you want to feed the homeless, don't post a photo on Facebook. And you know, when you're 20 years old and you hear that, you just feel like the world's against you and everybody's attacking you and nobody likes you. And I had to really question my intentions from a young age, and I had to, you know, look at myself and ask myself questions that not a lot of 20-year-olds need to ask themselves. Why are you doing this, Rose? What are your goals? What is your purpose? And then, but I'm so grateful for all those challenges, Sin. Like, it's really shaped me into the person I am today. And I'm so grateful that it helped me build, you know, resilience and cleared my vision. I'm really set on this path, and it's just an honor to turn around and say, I do this because I believe in people, and I don't post a photo on Facebook because I want your comment or your like. I couldn't care less about that. I do it because I want you to see how easy it is to make a difference. And I want you to see that and walk away with that. Like, I can do what Rose does. What she does isn't special at all. Everybody can do this. That's why I do that. And I know that. And if you can't see that, then I just feel sorry for you. And for everybody who does see it, it's just become bigger and merrier. And I'm so grateful for all of those challenges. Yeah.
So the challenges have really shaped.
Oh, 100%. Me and the movement, yeah, for sure.
Can you tell me, Rose, who are your biggest supporters when it came to founding and running COTS?
My family, they've been at the front line. I was telling you before, like, we don't have a COTS head office or a headquarters or any of that now. So my house became COTS for a long time. It looked like the Salvation Army at some point, like pick donations, and mum and dad and my siblings have just been at the forefront of dad building shelving and like mum preparing stuff behind the scenes for COTS, and my siblings helping me pick up donations. And my sister's 16 and she packs all of our snack bags every weekend just because I can't do that now, you know. And my brothers go out and spread the word for me or help me pick up donations when I'm at a school talk, and they've been great. A good circle of friends. A lot of them are on our charity board that just have my back. Running a charity doesn't look like rainbows and sunshine every day. There's a lot of days where you're like, this is tough. And especially when you're working in a sector like homelessness, there are bad stories all the time, sad stories all the time, heavy things you hear on the streets, and you need people to lean on. Like the more I move on in this journey, I realize how important it is to have those strong pillars around you. So my family, a good group of friends, and then a lot of just good people, like businesses that just believe in your movement, and strangers. Like, my goodness, the biggest thing COTS has shown me is just how good people are. Like, there is so much good left in this world. I think it's so easy to think otherwise when you are looking at the media. You know, you work in the media and it's just bad news after bad news. Like, there's a war here and people are killing people and everybody's dying and climate change or whatever. It's just bad. Yeah. And to step out and break that, like, there are so many good people. There are so many strangers that do things for COTS and for the poor that I'd never be able to thank them for. And just to be able to step back and say, no, there is still so much goodness. Humans are still good. That's been a big blessing. So yeah, a lot of good people.
Just on the circle you have around you, I want to talk about the volunteers that do work with you in COTS. So some of the testimonials are amazing. They include comments such as, it warmed my heart to be a part of something that put a smile on people's faces, people who don't owe anything to us in return. And also, this life-giving concept is something that can only continue to grow through hard work, through more involvement, through persistence, but moreover, through the realization that before we are anything else, we're all human. Why would you tell someone to volunteer?
COTS doesn't exist without the volunteers. They are the foundation of our movement. I can be a CEO and founder, and I can create Facebook events, and I can show up and book these halls and do this stuff. But if I don't have, if the volunteers aren't there, the movement doesn't exist. There's only so much we can do with one person. But as a movement, as a group, we're invincible. There's so much we can do. And so the reason why I tell somebody to volunteer is because I believe everybody has a gift, and there is something beautiful that happens when people come together, different people come together with their unique gifts for the common greater good. at our winter events are the perfect example of why somebody should volunteer with COTS, because you have a chef who gives up his day off to come and cook for people. And you have barbers who are in some of Melbourne's top barbershops that charge over $85, come down and give their day off to give out over 100 haircuts. And you have artists come down and paint free portraits. And you have children come and just brighten everybody's day. And you have students come and plate up food. And you have counsellors come and give their day off to support people. And you just see all these different people with different gifts come and be the change. I can't do that. I can book the whole scene, but I can't cut hair. And there's something special that happens when somebody comes and does that. And some people might be listening and saying, I don't have that gift. I'm not a chef, or I'm not a barber. There's no way that's true. The greatest gift we can give is our time. Everybody can offer that. Everybody can offer a kind word. And your way of doing that is different to the person next to you. And when we do that together, we change the world for the better. And people say, why do I volunteer? What do you get out of it? I am not a selfless person. I am not, a humble whatever. It's not true at all. I get so much more than I give. I guarantee you, if you volunteer anywhere good, if you volunteer and you give back to this world in a way that you can't get repaid for, you walk away having won. You walk away so much richer. I don't make money from COTS. I don't get praise from COTS. It's not about that at all. But I walk away, with the world. I get, the things I see, the things I hear, I walk away so much richer. And so I encourage everybody to find something they're passionate about and to volunteer. It doesn't mean you give up your life, your career to volunteer at all. Yeah. Live your life, wherever you are, make money, have a career. That's all good stuff. But find a place where you can just give back. Somewhere where you can just give back with nothing in return. And I promise you it will change your life.
So COTS has blown up exponentially. How do you feel about where you are at since founding COTS in 2016?
It gets overwhelming sometimes. Sometimes I don't feel it at all. Like I'm just like, we've only just begun, because we are a baby charity. Like we've partnered with charities that are older than I am. Like I've got 30-year-old charities reach out to us and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, we're just turning 3 now. And so it gets overwhelming when you think of how much we've achieved, like when I stop and think about it. But on the day-to-day, I'm just like, there's more to do. The homelessness crisis is growing. I've got to get around to the whole world. So you don't realize it all the time. But when I stop and think about it, like 2 days ago, I drove past a billboard outside of school and they had my face on it because I'm doing a guest speaking gig. And I just stopped and thought, this is crazy. How far have we come? It's weird. It's overwhelming, but it's such a blessing. A lot of the things we've achieved, I thought we were going to achieve in our 10-year goals, our 20-year goals, and to have achieved them already, it's exciting because I'm like, where are we going to be in 10 years? My goal is for COTS to go redundant. In 20 years, I hope my face is not on a billboard. I hope in 10 years, 20 years, I no longer get to call myself a CEO of COTS, because when COTS ceases to exist, we've achieved our mission. It's a very bittersweet paradox. In a business, you want to grow and succeed, stick around for as long as you can, whereas with us, constantly reminding ourselves that when we no longer need to go out on a street run, that's a good thing,
You want to serve your purpose and
wrap it up. Yeah, that's my goal.
And I know that we spoke about earlier that COTS is expanding across to Brisbane and Sydney. How did that come about? What's your role in that?
In 2017, we had our first winter event and we had some people fly down. So we had that wanted to just get involved. They just wanted to help out, and we had people come down from the Gold Coast, from Sydney and from New Zealand. And I would just ask them, what's the homelessness crisis like in your backyard? What's happening there? Who's tackling homelessness there? And they were just like, we don't really have a lot of grassroots stuff. There are those big, services and corporate world, homelessness, whatever. Yeah. But there isn't really anything we can help out with. It's not as easy as COTS is. Like people just have to DM me the week before a street run and say they can come out, and they do. Whereas the norm for volunteering is like fill in this paperwork and get on our waiting list and buy our t-shirt. And they just realized how easy it was. And so as soon as I heard of that interest, I was like, there's potential. Unfortunately, it's sad, but there's potential for COTS to go global. And that's when I realized there's a need for this everywhere. And so I had to, start planning for that. And I went over to Sydney and did a couple of street runs. And the need was, if anything, far greater than Melbourne's. And I asked around, I didn't want to branch. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I don't want to go and be the world's biggest organisation. I was just like, hi, is there something like this here? And if it's not, I've got to address it. I'm not going to be able to walk away from this. And the more we're growing now with media attention and stuff, we just have so many people emailing us. And so I was like, all right, the next 2 steps will be Sydney and Brisbane. Take care of those areas and then we'll see where we go. Recently gotten some interest from Perth, New Zealand definitely. And then I've got a lot of people from like New York, Detroit reaching out to us. And I've got some volunteers that have come down and travelled to Melbourne and have actually joined us on street runs. And I've gone back and implemented it in their cities. And that's been incredible. I got a couple of people in Detroit that now make snack bags and go out. I've got
incredible.
a friend in New York just waiting for us to go over there. So yeah, the potential's there, but
So
the next
Cots
step
is going global, not just Australia, it's going global.
Yeah, and that's another thing I thought, 10, 20 years, but yeah, definitely in the near future, I can see that happening, which is exciting.
Great. What do you believe has led to the success of Cots?
Keeping it true to why we started. I think along the way, there was a lot of influence that just comes with growing. Anything that grows, any business, any venture, any career, you get a lot of influence from whether it's your success or the potential to grow exponentially or media or whatever it might. Every time that came about, I just had to really pull it back down to the grassroots levels, because we could have blown up and gone corporate straight away, and I could have put Cots under a banner of another big charity. I just had to stay so true to its vision. We were just a bunch of young kids that just wanted to make a difference, and just keeping it at that, always reminding myself that before you do anything big, you're taking care of the people on the streets, because every night that I go to sleep, I know there are people sleeping on concrete and sleeping bags, and my priority is not how much media I get and where my office is or how much money we turned over. It's, is he going to sleep with a warm blanket? Is he having a meal to eat? Is she having access to her professional health services? And making sure that was at the forefront has really grounded me. Don't get too ahead of yourself. There's the problem still there, because I can just turn around and say, I fed 2,000 people. Congrats to me. But I can look at it and say, Rose, you've got a lot of work to do. And that forever grounds me. Yeah. So that's really contributed to our success, I believe. And just being very transparent with the movement. It's very unfortunate that a lot of people don't have a good rapport with charities, have either had a distasteful experience with either people that aren't as honest or aren't as transparent. We really wanted to combat that. What you see is what you get with us. If you give me your pink blanket, your pink blanket's going out on the streets. If you give me this food voucher, you know where it's going. If you come and volunteer, you're going to walk away with a good, positive experience. So yeah, staying true to your vision. And I give that as a piece of advice to anybody that says, how can I become successful? Or how can I do this? And a lot of people are like, just volunteer with me, or no, we're already doing this, or whatever. And that's a load of crap. The world needs as much help as we can give it. So I encourage everybody that's just even doubting themselves or having second thoughts about, is there anything I can do? Do it. The world needs it. The world needs you. The world needs your gift. It needs your talent. And when you embark on that journey, just stay true. Stay true to what you're doing.
In terms of, I want to talk to you about, you do a lot of stuff with schools and young students. What's the main message that you give to them?
Exactly that.
That's what I thought. As soon as you spoke about that, it really resonate with.
Yeah. I remember being in school and having guest speakers come, and they were talk about the wonderful things they do. And I remember being a 12-year-old like, that's amazing, but how on earth am I going to do that? You're just like, that was really nice to hear, but where's the practical? How is that practical in my life right now as a primary school student or a high school student? And when I did start doing these workshops in schools, I had to shape what my program was going to be like. And I never thought we'd be running educational workshops. And now that's one of the biggest programs we run, my school talks. It's always that. It's always, kids, you've got gifts. Don't wait until you're a CEO. Don't wait until you're 35. Don't wait until your salary looks like this. Don't wait until you go to India. Do it now. Start in your schoolyard. Help the kid that's sitting in the playground by himself. Speak with the girl that doesn't have any friends, and play your footy games and run sausage sizzles for the sick kids in hospital. And just really encourage them to utilize their gifts from a young age. I think if they can start doing that, then we've got a future of change makers. And so that's the main message I give. And that applies to the young and old. It's just the context you put it in. But yeah, the school workshops are amazing. We do a lot of staff formation days and just telling the staff. And the staff always come back with good feedback. That kid's donating his artwork or whatever, like things like that. And that's beautiful.
Speaking of young people, it doesn't come as a surprise at all that you were recently recognised as Victorian Young Australian of the Year. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. One of the 4 final nominees, which was exciting. Huge honour.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, there was huge honour. I remember starting Cots and people saying, one day you'll be Australian of the Year. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen. People get that on their 50th year anniversary. I had no idea. I was nominated by surprise, anonymous nomination. And they called me, they called all the top 20. And so they called me, and I remember this guy from the government, he was like, hi, I'm just calling Rose to say congratulations. And I was like, congratulations for what? And he's like, you're Young Australian of the Year. And I'm like, what? I had no idea I was nominated. And he said, out of the 8,000 nominees, we call the top 20 and congratulate them. And then the top 4 come to Governor House for a dinner. And I was like, that's cool. Like, didn't think I was going to hear back from him. And then yeah, lo and behold, 4 weeks later, he called me and he's like, you're one of the top 4 nominees. Please come to the Governor House dinner. The governor wants to thank you and give you an award. So that was beautiful. I mean,
amazing.
Biggest success is every time I hear somebody's no longer sleeping on the streets and somebody's reconnected to their family. That's my favourite award. There's no Australian of the Year or medallion or whatever that could compare to that. But just seeing people recognise the work and want to support it is a big honour, of course. I'm very, very grateful.
Amazing. Congratulations
again. Thank you.
I want to wrap this up with talking a bit more about your experience in charitable work. And this time I want to flip the coin, I guess, and want to hear about someone who actually has ended up helping you that you were trying to help out as well.
There are so many good people. Hearing people say, you changed my life. I don't think you understand the extent of those words until somebody says it to you. They actually mean it. There was a person who, I was really down on my luck. I never thought I could make a difference, and you've just really changed my life. And that changes my life because it's very easy to feel lonely when you're doing something like COD. It's like what you were saying before, 17-year-old like Britney Spears, not Mother Teresa or whatever. 23-year-olds are out doing, whole partying with their friends or going on holidays, and they're not starting a charity. And so it's easy to feel lonely when like your career partners are like 80-year-olds. It can feel lonely. So just hearing people say that stuff has really helped me in the sense of believing in myself. Anyone that's ever supported me or backed me or told me I've reminded them of something good in themselves. When I hear any of the inmates I've helped in prison get out and say to me, Rose, you reminded me that my kids are worth it and that I'm not a this or that. That changes me forever. That really reminds me of why I do what I do. And I get so much more of that than criticism. And so I can't, even if I wanted to, I can't focus on the criticism. When you have people who the world perceives as nothing and people who the world perceives even more so like dangerous or dirty or don't go near them or you're worthless or you're the worst of the worst and you did this to yourself and you're a bum, for them to cry when they're talking to me and say, nobody's ever said I'm a father first or I'm a good friend. Some of the big bad cartel people, ex-cartel people or like homeless men that have done very bad things that they regret in their life, when I tell them that you're bigger than your mistake and they ask me to repeat that. I had a man a while ago said to me, Rose, can you say that again? And that helps me. How can I not persevere on this journey when I have that? He said, can you say that again? And I said, you're bigger than your mistakes. You're bigger than these tattoos and you're bigger than these things that you regret. You're a man with a big heart, and I know that because I've seen you help this person and this person. And having him cry and say, nobody in my life has told me that before, and nobody's told me they've cared for me. That they helped me. Or having one of our ex-home people that were once on the streets come out and do street runs with us. We have our men who were once homeless come and do the volunteer stuff with us, and that's incredible. People that I'm so privileged to help me so much. It's a very mutual relationship, and I really like being able to remind them that they do a lot for me too, because it just empowers them, and it's very, very special. It's a very unique role. I know I have a very unique career or path, and I just, every day I'm grateful that this is my life.
Is it too soon to wish you a Merry Christmas?
No, COT's Christmas. I'm always dealing with Christmas
all
stuff.
All the best for the Christmas season.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on the
Thank you for doing what you do. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode and in 2019. We'll be back on January the 6th, 2020, and once again wish you a very Merry Christmas as well as a Happy New Year.